Well, Ronald, here we are at the end of a quite incredible season for you and your team. When you sit here and look back on it and reflect on it all, how satisfied, how proud are you of what you achieved?
No, very, very pleased and very satisfied about the season. And this morning I had a quick look to the table in the Premier League, and it's crazy. It's amazing to see the team, the name of the club, Southampton, around all the big ones, even today above Man United, 3 points down of Man City after 38 games. And then really you realize how fantastic the season is and was.
When you think back to what you achieved last season, 60 points, which was a club record in the Premier League and seventh, the highest ever for the club in the Premier League, how big a challenge was it to go and improve on that this season?
It was really a big challenge, and we spoke in the pre-season out with the players to be a little bit more consistent this season than it was in our last season, but we knew it will be very difficult because expectations, of course, after last seasons were higher than it was before, and that makes it more difficult. But finally, I think we managed very good our season, and of course we had a difficult period in December, January, but we had a great reaction as a team, and the players did an amazing job, and the understanding with the fans, and some crazy games at home, winning against the big six teams in the Premier League, and makes it really very special this season.
You mentioned the expectations going into the season. It wasn't just that though, was it? You lost some key players last summer when you think about Morgan Schneiderlin leaving and Toby Alderweireld not coming back and Nathaniel Klein went as well. How difficult was it to overcome that, and how impressive was the job that was done in the transfer window, transfer market last summer?
Yeah, I think that was very good. I think the difference also between this season and last season is that the squad in numbers and in competition was on a higher level than it was last season, and that makes everybody maybe more focused, with more competition to start to work harder. And I can't say anything about the spirit of the players, because in now 2 years in a row, it's an amazing to work with these kind of players, and but that was the difference between this season and last season. And of course, it's always difficult to find new players, because one is the quality of the players. We try to bring good players in, young players in. That's part of the philosophy of the club. But you need also time for new players, and because they need to adapt to the Premier League, the level of the Premier League, to the physical stage of the Premier League. We don't have a winter break, and for outside players is that always difficult, and they need time to learn from it, and mostly is always the second season is a better season for new players, but overall we did a great job.
When we think back to the start of the season, I guess the big excitement, particularly for the fans, was the Europa League campaign. Started so well with those incredible performances and the win against Vitesse, but it obviously ended disappointingly, didn't it, against Midtjylland? What are your kind of memories of that experience?
Well, I think it was for everybody good experience, because if you need to play already before starting of the Premier League, you need to play for qualification for Europe, and that makes a little bit difference in your pre-season, and I think that was good to learn out of that, and because then already you like to be ready before the Premier League starts, and of course we had 2 fantastic games against Vitesse, disappointed against Midtjylland away, because I think we lost it already at home. It was close. That score, and 1-1 was not enough, and that makes it very difficult, the away game. But I think we learn from it. If we need to do it again, and let's hope that Man United will win the final of the FA Cup, because then we go straight to the European League stage, but it's always difficult if you really start before the Premier League. Really, that qualification that makes it different.
Yeah, how much do you think it will help next season? And I guess how determined are you to make sure that the Europa League campaign next season lasts longer than the one this season?
Yeah, but okay. Anyway, if we need to play the qualification, we have to do it, and we take it seriously because we like to play in Europe. It's a good experience for the players. It's a good experience for the club, and we like to go on and we like to march on, and that means also to be part in Europe.
You mentioned earlier that you had that difficult run over the winter period. Just how tough was that?
It's always difficult because if you had that special season 1 year ago, and then really it was a little bit struggling, but I think the one of the best things in this club is the confidence, and the board was quiet and full of confidence that we can turn around it, and we show it. And I remember that in that period, Ralf Kruger mentioned to me that he said we will finish very strong this season, and what he said happened, and that's all achievement of everybody in the club, and that's good to see because to finish the season so strongly, what we did, it's fantastic.
What was it that caused that change in form? What were the kind of key reasons behind you turning things around?
I think first of all, we did not have really big injuries in our squad. I think that's one of the reasons. The second reason is what I mentioned before about the competition in the squad, and the players did a very good job to deal with that competition in the squad, and that makes the team stronger, and that makes the team with a very good, strong reaction, what we showed in the last few months.
And how big of an impact was it having Fraser back? It was quite an emotional time for him, obviously coming back in January. How important was he?
Yes, of course, it's no doubt about that. That was a big sign for us after 10, 11 months, and of course Martin did a good job before, but Fraser is Fraser Forster, and he's one of the best goalkeepers, and of course, and he showed straight on when he was back his qualities, and that had a big impact for the team, not only in the pitch but also about the confidence for the defenders, and that was great to see, and one of the key points in that time to make it different than it was in January.
So you won your last 4 games, 7 of your last 9, and in the second half of the season, Leicester were the only team to get more points than you. Just how proud are you of what your team did in that run?
Yeah, very proud. I think to get the second position on the table from January in 2016 is an amazing achievement of the team, and that we like to continue, how difficult it is.
Does it give you optimism ahead of next season though? Because it's again a big challenge to try and improve on what you've done this season, I suppose.
Yeah, of course, it's always a challenge to improve, but everybody needs to understand how difficult it is to be part of the highest positions on the table, and of course we hope that we can keep everybody in for next season, and we will see what happened in the summer, but what we can do, what we need to do. If we lose some players, then we need to prepare for it, what we did last season, and that's our job, and the rest is all about business, and you can't, because we know, and we understand our position as a club, and okay, and I understand the players who has maybe ambition to play in the Champions League, because that's part of the business, that's part of the football, but we need to be prepared if we lose some players.
On that front though, there's been some very positive news in recent weeks with a number of long-term contracts being signed by some of your real key players. How important and how positive is that going into the summer?
That is very important and very positive for everybody, because the club is showing the ambition to sign and to keep that kind of players, the key players, and that's the best what you can do, and maybe that's a good signal to everybody that we do everything to keep the best players, but sometimes you can't do everything because that's part of the business.
Speaking about contracts, you've been asked almost on a weekly basis, it seems, for a while now about your own future, and you've indicated that there would be some talks after the season. Now that we're here at this point after the season's finished, what can you sort of tell us about your situation in that sense?
No, my situation is very clear. I have 1 year more contract with Southampton. I will have in the next couple of days I will have to talk to the board and to the club and about the future. And okay, I will listen to the club because I think I'm very happy to be manager in Southampton. But let's wait about the meeting, because then we can talk about the future. And before, I think it's not good to talk about my future.